Today is May 28th, 2020, and this is your daily Half-Life 3 update. There is no news about Half-Life 3. A couple updates ago, I had mentioned how we were going to be getting more information about Half-Life 2 Episode 4, which was going to be the Half-Life spin-off taking place in Ravenholm. This is back when Valve was going to do episodic gaming. That lasted, and I guess it was Arcane Studios who was working on the project, and they had recently put out a documentary about a bunch of stuff they did, including Half-Life 2 Episode 4. I didn't watch the documentary because I don't really care. But within the documentary, they talked about a bunch of stuff, and I suppose, I don't really know much about the whole situation, but I guess it started with another development company, and they were going to do like a magnet gun, which you use to energize stuff to solve puzzles. I guess electricity was going to be a factor in it, and it was going to take place before Episode 2. It was kind of like detail the fall of Ravenholm, which is that's always kind of what I thought it was going to be. And then Arcane Studios took over, and they changed it up a little bit. I guess they kept the magnet gun and maybe some of the electricity elements. I'm still not sure. I mean, if you want a much more detailed report of the stuff, I'm sure you can find it somewhere else. And it seems like it was going to take place after Half-Life 2, but before Episode 2, which is kind of a narrow window there. I guess they kind of want to slip it in after Grigori meets Gordon Freeman, but before Gordon Freeman blows up the Citadel. Which I guess you could also pad the runtime a little bit there if you were going to utilize I think, 2 weeks that Gordon is unaccounted for when he goes through the slow teleporter from Entanglement back to Kleiner's lab. So there is a big gap of time there. But besides that, if it's like, well, no, I guess if it was after Half-Life 2, the Citadel was already blown up. So it would have to be the couple hours of Half-Life 2 Episode 1. I don't know. Anyway, you also were going to work with Father Grigori a little bit. I don't know how much he was going to be in the game, whether or not it was just like kind of a beginning thing and an end thing, or if he was going to be in the game throughout. And they had changed the zombies a little bit too. They were going to kind of bite you more than attack you, and that was going to like infect you a little bit, and you have to stave off infection, I suppose. So kind of more traditional zombie. I feel like this was going to be more of your stereotypical zombie game that you might see nowadays. And apparently they had finished a good portion of the game. I don't know. I guess they have 8 or 9 levels that are playable. I mean, I don't know how big the game was intended to be, but 8 or 9 levels is a significant portion, I feel like. I don't know. But apparently that's playable, and they show that off to new employees or whatnot about, like, hey, this is the Half-Life game that we have that never happened. I guess the big thing, the big news, I suppose, about all this is that in Half-Life 2 Episode 4, you're going to be playing as Adrian Shepard, who we know as the protagonist of Half-Life Opposing Force. He was going to come back into the story. Now I feel like that's something Half-Life fans have been, I would say, wondering about for a while. I don't know about us expecting to see Adrian Shepard again, but we're definitely wondering about this character and if we would see him again. I mean, we did see Barney again after Blue Shift, so I always thought it would be interesting to see to see what happens with Adrian Shepard. Wasn't he in Hunt Down the Freeman? I don't know. Maybe at least I feel like he was. Because that game, I never played that game, thank God. But I know the game tried to do a lot of weird, crazy stuff. There was like a scene where he was on a. There was a scene where that protagonist was on a train with like 5 other Gordon Freemans, and I feel like they tried to do crazy, trippy stuff. But anyway, I guess the real thing that I wanted to say today is I was looking on Facebook, and apparently there are people who want a 4-hour cut of Revenge of the Sith. This is kind of like the people who saw the success of the Snyder Cut. They want a 4-hour cut of Revenge of the Sith, which makes no sense to me at all. I mean, Revenge of the Sith and Justice League are two very different movies for the fact that Zack Snyder didn't get to finish his version of the movie. George Lucas was very much in control of each one of the prequels. He pretty much had like 100% control. I don't think he listened to anybody. But it's like that's the movie that he wanted. If George Lucas had any changes he wanted to make to Revenge of the Sith, he would have made those changes, a while ago. He would have made them. I mean, think of all the changes he made to the original trilogy. Apparently, he's perfectly fine with the prequel trilogy. And also, I think when George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, he probably had some clause in his contract where, they can't change his versions. That's why you won't see the theatrical versions of the original trilogy. Those versions will never be released because it's Disney has to use the special edition versions. Now, the reason I bring this up, the reason I went on that little tangent, the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Zack Snyder cut was clearly it was very successful. And if you're going to start campaigning for something, why not start campaigning for something that actually works and that could actually make sense? So, like, this is an idea I had, 5 minutes before I sat down to do this. What if we started, like, a campaign to release the 8 or 9 playable levels of Half-Life 2 Episode 4? I mean, could we get like a hashtag trending, start up a change.org petition, hire a billboard like the Zack Snyder people did, the Snyder Cut people? We should do that. I'm not that clever when it comes up to good slogans, but we should start some hashtag trending in regards to releasing Half-Life 2 Episode 4. Those 8 levels that are apparently playable. So if anyone's still watching at this point, instead of commenting the thing that you were going to comment, the same thing that you commented yesterday, maybe comment an interesting hashtag we could try and get trending. I mean, you could always, comment that thing you were going to comment anyway also, so I guess you would have 2 comments. But make sure one of those comments would be a potential hashtag that we could use to get trending. I don't know, like release the Episode 4 cut. I don't know, because then you could get Episode 4 mixed up. We don't want people thinking we're talking about A New Hope. I mean, release the Half-Life Episode 4 cut. That seems kind of long. Release Half-Life Episode 4. I don't know. If you have an idea of a hashtag we could get trending, leave it in the comments section below. I feel like this is a long video. No one's going to make it this long. But, oh well. And that has been your daily Half-Life 3 update for May 28th, 2020.